Welcome to the very first super new moon of 2026. I'm Gretchen Heidel, and I'm going to be going over all of this new moon vibe that's coming on the weekend. The peak of it, the height of it, the pinnacle of it is going to be on Saturday, May 16th at 4:01 p.m. Eastern Time or 1:01 p.m. Pacific West Coast Time. Now, this new moon is going to be taking place at 25 degrees Taurus, and Taurus is a beautiful sign for the moon to be in. It is said that the moon is really at home in the astrological sign of Taurus. This new moon is ruled by Venus, the goddess of love and beauty. So this moon is going to be really beneficial and positive for all things pertaining to beauty, design, making things look nice. Now, Taurus is also good for money, and it is good for increasing personal wealth. Taurus is the ruler of the second house of astrology, which means that it's pertaining to what we value, our material goods, as well as our bank account, our checking account, our 401k, etc. So it has to do with material and spiritual things of what you value and where you want to spend your money or how you want to save your money. Now, during the new moon, always the sun and the moon are in the same astrological spot at the same point, and they're conjunct one another, which is why the moon in the sky is dark, and that's called the dark moon when the moon is new. And so this is a perfect time to do some star watching and to get out and to look at the beauty that is the night sky. There's some things going on behind the scenes that also are accompanying this new moon, adding an additional lens or an additional flavor to this new moon that are also activating things. And some of that is a big conjunction or a cluster going on between Uranus, Mercury, the sun, at the end of Taurus going into the beginning of Gemini, and they're sort of all weaving in and out between each other. And what I'm talking about is this is the new moon here. We have the sun, we have Mercury, and we have Uranus, and they're all clustered here right at the very end of Taurus going into Gemini. And so that is a big factor, and also adding additional flavoring to this particular new moon. So the sun and Mercury came to a peak together on Thursday, May 14th, and then for the weekend on Sunday, on May 17th, Mercury is going to move into the beginning of Gemini, and then that evening Mercury and Gemini are going to be forming a conjunction together. And then later next week, as we get into closer to Friday, May 22nd, the sun and Uranus are going to form a conjunction together. So you can see they're sort of weaving in and out, and having Mercury and Gemini and Uranus and Gemini coming together is like really electrical. It's like fireworks. It's just going to be buzzy almost, and that can for sure increase some anxiety, some anticipation, some excitement for sure, but it's going to be very stimulating. The Taurus new moon is actually thankfully grounding, and also the sun is in the sign of Taurus, which is grounding us and rooting us a little bit, thankfully, because if it was without them, we would be kind of coming out of our skin right now. There would be a lot of energy, and it would be, like I said, overly stimulating. It would be something that, it would be hard to settle down, hard to sleep. This can for sure increase anything to do with the electrical stimulation of the body, like migraine headaches, palpitations, seizures, things like that, spasms, all that type of stuff. So yes, this Taurus new moon is very more peaceful, like I said, more grounding and more practical, where these other ones are really more stimulating. So we might feel like that push and pull between those two energies, but there is an even more additional energy behind the scenes, which is a little bit of a rare thing, but I'm going to talk about it because it's so significant with this new moon. And that's that all of this is happening very close to a fixed star called Algol. Here is where Algol is, and this is where this whole cluster is. And Algol is a fixed star. It's also nicknamed the demon star, and it's said to be the head of Medusa. Oh boy. So there's that. This is considered to be a very sticky sort of, whenever Algol is kind of activated, it's said to be a very sticky sort of thing, because Algol being one of the fixed stars, fixed meaning it kind of is pretty honkered down in this location, and whenever the planets pass by it, it's going to create some stuff. And so we got, Medusa activated right now. Now, something to keep in mind with Medusa, if you think about the mythology of her, it is said to be Medusa was used as a weapon. Her head was used as a weapon. So whenever you stared at Medusa, everybody would turn to stone, meaning if you were in front of Medusa. But if you were behind, Medusa could protect you because, you can hold her head up and, she would freeze your enemies and they would crumble down. That was the mythology behind the fixed star of Algol. So what's interesting is this new moon is taking place 1 degree behind Algol, Medusa's head. So it's interesting because this is 25 degrees. Medusa's head, Algol, is 26 degrees. It's a fascinating thing that even though it is said to be a sticky, and could be even a little contentious and have a shadow thing there and, all kinds of stuff. It's interesting because the new moon is taking place behind it, which means that instead of being in peril, actually we could be protected by Algol, which is usually not a fun thing. I mean, Algol can be quite, in mythology, is quite sort of a dangerous sort of, point in an astrological chart. But in this case, it's all about protection from enemies, having power, magic, it's all kinds of things. So actually, I think that this could even help us a little bit. I know that that's an interesting interpretation and a little bit of a different interpretation of Algol, but it is right behind, so it's almost like as if we are using Algol's or harnessing or tapping into Algol's protective energies. That could be quite helpful to us, that we could be protected in some way, shape, or form during this particular new moon. Now, I can't think of a better new moon if you need to manifest love or prosperity to manifest during this time. And all of this Taurus energy is all about, like I said, love, money, and prosperity. So hello, this is a great time to manifest during this time. Now, we are going to have this additional lively Gemini, which can be chatty. Gemini likes to get the word out, so it can be chatty. Gemini can be all about spreading information, and it could even feel just a little bit like a Mercury retrograde, but that's okay. This is a great time to write your new moon manifestation list, write everything you want on a piece of paper, sleep with it under your pillow, and then during the next full moon, which is going to be coming up at the very end of the month. We have 2 full moons this month, which means that the next full moon is a blue moon, and that's going to be taking place on May 31st. Now, if you would like to harness this even more, this type of energy, using a stone such as rose quartz, because this is all about love and self-love and love of others, that could be a great thing to enhance some of your, new moon manifestations. I'm just going to pull 3 cards very quickly. What do we need to know about this particular new moon to give us even more guidance? What do we need to know? Ooh, I got cards trying to pop out here. Okay, there's a wake-up call, and that's definitely Uranus is a little bit about waking up, is about, sort of sensing something that we didn't know before. Uranus is definitely associated with unexpected events, surprises, something outside the box, something that's a little bit different. So what else do we need to know about this particular powerful supermoon? By the way, supermoons are close to the Earth. That's why we call it a supermoon, because it looks like it's close to the Earth. Now with a dark moon, the new moon, the black moon, we won't see it as clearly, but that doesn't matter because we're still going to feel that gravitational pull. This is the second closest new moon, supermoon that we're going to have this year. The next one actually coming on June 15th is even closer, just so you know. That's going to be the closest new moon, supermoon that we have this year. So the next card I have is Hello from Heaven, and I wanted to show you that Hello from Heaven is a beautiful card. It's Archangel Azrael. Your loved ones in heaven are doing fine. Let go of worries and feel their loving blessings. So there could be a really good connection or portal to the other side during this particular new moon, which can open us up to, I'm talking about positive energies. This is a particular new moon, the veil might be a little bit thinner, so we would be able to connect with deceased loved ones or even pets that are on the other side in the spirit realm. And then lastly, what do we need to know about this particular new moon? The wheel, okay? Wheel of Fortune, the wheel in tarot deck. This is all about how things can change. What's up must go down, what's down must go up. So the wheel doesn't have a connotation if it's going to be good or bad. It just says it's going to be changing. So usually this has to do with money. This card is a money card, but things could be changing for the positive for sure, especially if we put out a bunch of positive energy during this time. So keep it positive, because Algol can be a little darker. Keep it positive, but this new moon has a lot of powerful energies behind it, more than what just meets the eye on the surface. So use it to manifest positivity, love, good luck, and fortune into your life. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, save it for later, share, and follow.